Food is medicine. Food is energy. And by now, I think you understand that food is more than just calories and vitamin. Food has an effect on your psychology, on your physiology, your mind, and ultimately your spirit. And today we're going to talk about food, and we're going to view it from a different angle. And this different angle or lens is called Virya. Virya is the term we use in Ayurvedic nutrition to describe the energy, strength, power of the food that you eat. And Virya is categorized by how the food makes you feel, how food feels in your body. Certain foods can feel hot, and other foods can feel cooling. And just like all food has a dominant taste or flavor, all food has a Virya or potent energy. And this energy is either cooling or heating. We learned that there are 6 tastes: sweet, sour, salty, pungent, astringent, and bitter. And these tastes have specific qualities or gunas that can either increase or decrease the doshas or keep them in balance. Sweet, for example, is created from the elements earth and water, and therefore it's going to increase the dosha kapha, because kapha is also composed of earth and water. So sweet foods will increase the earth and water in our mind and in our body. Makes sense, right? Ayurveda looks beyond simple nutrition. Ayurveda is going to look at food from a multi-dimensional and holistic lens, and Virya is a part of this. Ayurveda looks at the effect food will have on your Agni, your digestive fire, and how your doshas are going to increase, decrease, or stay balanced. The Virya of a food is primarily going to have a heating or Ushna function, or a cooling and Shita function. So basically food is either going to be heating or cooling or somewhere in between. And why is this so important in Ayurveda? Because heating and cooling foods are going to have a direct effect on Agni, or your digestive fire, digestion, and the entire process of metabolism. Health starts at the gut in Ayurveda. So heating foods are going to increase metabolism. Pitta or Agni, or that digestive fire. Heating foods are naturally going to increase the heat in the body, because heating foods are created of the fire element primarily, so it's going to increase that fire element both in the mind and body. Too many heating foods can cause an imbalance. It can cause overprocessing or overheating of digestion that can lead to things like stomach ulcers, inflammation conditions like colitis. And too much heat can also show up as anger or insatiable libido. So just think about too much heating foods will create excess heat in the body. And similarly, cooling foods can either balance Agni, digestive fire, or cause an imbalance. Cooling foods tend to just calm down digestion. They calm down that digestive fire. Cooling foods in the right proportion can bring balance to the body. It can relieve burning sensations or even inflammation in the gut. It's going to cool that down. Too much cooling foods, on the other hand, can slow down metabolism, lead to obesity, malabsorption, and also lead to blockages in the system. Cooling foods will literally cool your mind and body down and slow down metabolic processes. Think about eating watermelon. Think about how that instantly just cools you down. Too much watermelon can actually hinder your digestion, and it can create dampness and interfere with the process of digestion and metabolism. But in balance, it could make you feel great, especially in the summer season. Ushna is the Sanskrit word for hot or heating. When something is ushna or heating, you're going to feel the energy in your stomach and your body. You're going to feel that heat. For example, think about eating chilies. Chilies or black pepper. Alcohol is going to be heating. As soon as you take it, it's going to heat you up. Cashews are also heating. Just look at how a cashew grows. A cashew is going to grow on a tree, and it basically is going to be in direct sunlight. It's going to take in that heat from the sun and it embodies that heat. The cashew becomes heating in nature. So when we take too many cashews, it can cause heat-like symptoms in our body. In the right proportions, they can help bring balance, but in excess, you'll have inflammatory conditions. The heating energy can increase the heat in the mind and body, as we said. Heat is related to Pitta dosha, and therefore heat can cause an increase in metabolism, digestive fire, and all Pitta-like qualities. Shita in Sanskrit is a term for cool or cooling. Remember we learned the cooling breath called Shitali pranayam? It literally cools the body down when you do that breath. Shita has the same Sanskrit root meaning cool. Shita means cool. Now that you have a basic understanding, let's look at the normal functioning of healing and cooling substances and the effect it has on our body. Normal heating foods, eating a normal amount of Ushna foods, can pacify Vata and Kapha, but it's going to increase Pitta because of the heat. Remember that both Vata, air, and Kapha, earth, are cool doshas. So when you eat something Ushna, it's going to pacify them or balance them. Heating foods support digestion or digestive fire, Agni. It's going to kindle Agni, Deepana. It also stimulates digestion. It can increase the body temperature and also enhance the process of circulation. Remember, heat opens up the body channel, so there's going to be better circulation. Too much cooling foods can actually bring about an imbalance in Vata dosha and also Kapha dosha because of the cooling nature. Vata and Kapha are cooling doshas. So when there's a normal amount of cool foods that you eat, it's going to support tissue growth. It's going to help building and growth. But in excess, it's going to cause an imbalance. It's not going to support the tissue building or growth in the proper manner. A balanced diet of cooling foods supports tissue building and growth. It can calm down Agni or digestive fire. It could reduce inflammation and burning. And this is especially important when people are suffering from acidity or acid reflux. Cooling foods also tend to cool the body temperature. Cooling foods are great in the summer season and in instances when you're feeling a lot of anger or heat-like Pitta symptoms. It's important to eat foods that are naturally cooling. This brings us into the excessive use of heating foods. And it could result in extremely high Agni or hot digestion, too much digestive fire. It can burn ojas, your life vigor, your reservoir of energy. The heating nature also burns up your storehouse of energy, your vitality. This can lead to atrophy, to shrinking of muscle tissues, to destruction of tissues. Excess heating foods can also lead to extreme inflammation, ulcers, and heat can literally burn through tissues and carve a path out, and this can lead to internal bleeding or external bleeding. For example, bleeding hemorrhoids are often a result of excess heating foods like overindulging on chilies. When you eat too many chilies, it could cause bleeding hemorrhoids. Drier hemorrhoids, on the other hand, do not bleed. They don't tend to bleed, but they're usually caused to excess cold foods, and we're gonna get into cold foods now. Cold foods lead to slow digestion, and this is called Manda Agni. Metabolism can literally slow down, and this is going to lead to stagnation, blockages, abnormal growth, build up of toxicity and undigested food or ama in the body. And you're going to see things like obesity, blockages in the body. Cool constricts, remember, cool constricts channels and heat expands channels. So too many cold foods can lead to ama formation or toxic byproduct, and that's going to have a list of side effects on the body. So it's important to have a balance of cooling and heating foods. So how does Virya, or the energy of food, relate to taste or rasa? Sweet foods are generally going to be on the cooling side. They're going to be cooling in nature. Sweet foods are primarily created from the element earth and water, as we learned, which are both very cooling elements. So sweet foods can slow down digestion, and they're going to relieve burning sensation, and in excess, it's going to lead to slow digestion. Not all sweets are cool, however. Honey, it tastes sweet, but honey actually has a heating effect on the body. There are certain exceptions to this rule. Maple syrup, on the other hand, is sweet, and it's going to have a cooling effect on the body. So depending on if your primary dosha that's out of balance is pitta or vata, you can choose which sweetener is going to be better for you. For pitta constitutions or pitta people who are out of balance, or anybody who has a pitta imbalance, honey can sometimes be a little too heating if taken in excess, and maple syrup would be a better choice for this person. Vata, on the other hand, could have either or. The maple syrup or the honey is going to be balancing, but kapha, constitution that tends to gain weight naturally, honey is going to be a better choice because the heating nature in honey can actually help scrape out toxins. Very interesting, right? So this was a lesson on Virya, and the next lessons we're going to talk about prabhava, which is a unique property, and we're also going to talk about ama formation in greater detail and also agni in greater detail.